Hi, I'm Darcell Hoover here with Neal Scarbrough with Fox Sports. Hi Neal, thank you for joining me.
Sure, pleasure to see you and finally spend some time with you.
Yes, thank you for taking out the time. So I was wondering, what made you want to get into journalism?
Wow, I'd say that there's always that guy in every family who's like the character who talks and reads out loud and does the family prayer or whatever it is. And so I was kind of that character within my family. So everybody's like, "Oh, that boy, you got to go in communication. He's got to be on TV." And so you think about that as you're growing up. And I think I did commercials when I was young. Right? I did a couple of them when we lived in New York. But when I got to school, you start to realize that journalism isn't just about being in front of the camera. It's about telling stories and affecting the afflicted and giving voice to the voiceless and digging and scratching and trying to make an impact. And so quite quickly I realized there was more to being on TV than being on TV. And when I started to learn about it, I was completely intrigued by putting together a story and really competing with everybody else in the same space. Because journalism is about being at the same place with a bunch of people and coming up with the best angle and the best story. And so that kind of fueled my competitive side, where I was like, oh yeah, I am an expressive person and could maybe be successful on TV or writing or whatever. But the more important thing was really what were you producing and what were you writing and who were you helping. That's what lit the fire for me to be a journalist.
And now, what is it about you that sets you apart?
I
Why
guess
did someone hire Neal Scarbrough?
I would say
Over
that
someone else?
they have to answer that question more so than me. But I think what I what I think I bring and what I sell is that I'm always an innovator. I don't like to come in second. Everywhere I've been, I've either had the vision to come up with a product that wasn't in the space that we created, or I just had fun doing what I call throwing the wacky. And that's just, trying to go down that traditional road of telling a story and then taking a quick right turn or left turn to make it different or do something interactive. I'm a fan first. And so in my time in sports, I've always thought about what does the fan want? And when I look at my track record, I'm at least able to say to people, listen, I thought of an idea, I figured out how to put it together, I launched it, and here's what we did. So I think what you get with me is a nonstop innovation. I'm always trying to be better than I ever was, better than the person sitting next to me. A lot of competitive edge, and that started my career because I just decided I wasn't going to come in second in my own room, and then in my own space, and then in my own field, and then in media in general. So I like to win. I don't always win, but I'm always trying to win.
And you've done a lot of stuff. Why, is sports what you really wanted to do? Was that your end game?
No, I think sports was probably my passion, and I grew up as a sports fan, and I had an older brother, and lost my father young, so he and I were always like in front of the TV and watching sports. My mother made sure we played sports and had those things available for us to enjoy it. So I think sports has always been something that kind of fueled, who I am. But I got into journalism, really. I got into be a news reporter, and I wanted to be an international correspondent, and I wanted to kind of tell the stories, a lot of times, with being a minority and African American, I wanted to turn over some rocks and make things better for the afflicted folks, not just my people, but in general. That's the perspective you get, when you grow up that way. And I'd say that, quickly as I worked in news in my early jobs, I kept looking over the wall. What are those guys doing in sports over there? And so I started to build a career and say, I think I actually want to be a sports editor. So I started planning my career to, A, edit, know how to lay out sections, and B, work with reporters and understand how to craft stories, and be an assignment editor, and then C, you start to understand design and presentation. And then as I moved in sports to magazines and digital, I really started to see that you could really shape the package that you gave to people. And sports had so many layers. I felt like news, you reported straight stories a lot and then went home. In sports, there was data, there was stats, there was interaction, there was polls, there was engagement. So I think I started in news, and I found that I could do everything I did in news in sports and then have a little bit more fun along the way. So sports is my passion, news was my start, and even to this day when I apply for sports times, I go, oh, you've got a news background, that's really good. So my time in news has actually helped me in sports. So sports is my passion.
I've hung out with you today, and you're super busy, you're running all over the place, you're directing people on how to do this, how you want this. How do you find the time with family? Like juggle family and career?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, people talk about work-life balance. You know, oh, I got to achieve work-life balance, and it's really just a matter of making life as important as work. You know, and sometimes people don't. You get so obsessed. And I've been that guy where it's like work, 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 and then you go home and you wake up at 2 in the morning. You're thinking about the job, and that's all part of having an important job. Or if you care about something, you don't stop thinking about how to improve it. So you're never really going to separate work and life, because you kind of need one to do the other.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you need work to live and reach goals, and you need to be refreshed and to have an outlet to come back to work and do a good job. So hence you get work-life balance. But I think for me, I think I just said it, which is you have to work as hard at life as you do at work. You have to say, hey, I'm going to go away this weekend. I know I might have to do this thing in the job. The job's always there when you come back. Just don't forget that. The job is always there when you come back. And as long as you handle your business, like you can't have something due and you go, hey, it's due Friday, but I'm going to take a 4-day weekend and turn it in Wednesday.
Right.
You know, that's going to doom your career. Yeah. But you certainly can feel like I got it in Friday and now I deserve to take the next 4 days off because I don't have anything to do for another week. Or, you know, you got to get right back on the treadmill the next day. So my long-winded answer, hopefully you can edit this, is to say, if you care about work, you can only care about work too much if you don't care about life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you care about life a lot and work a lot, that's the balance. You might be really busy, you might be always doing something, but that's who you are. You know. So for me, it's just a matter of making sure that you check on your family and that they're doing okay, and that you find time for yourself to just go. Sometimes you got to say, boy, you know what? I need to sit down for an hour. Like just get home, like you're doing this, you have your job at work and your job at home, and all of a sudden you got to go, you know what I need to do? I need to actually sit down for an hour.
Yeah.
And so those kind of reminders for yourself. Maybe it's I need to not go in for a couple of days. I actually need to leave. I need to take a vacation.
Yeah.
These little reminders to yourself will keep you fresh and a better employee, a better boss. As you just remind yourself. That's the quote I always use: let some air out of the balloon, and it'll be okay. If the balloon just keeps going like this, boom, it's gonna pop. Every once in a while, you gotta go. Psst.
Sometimes I just feel like a balloon.
Okay. Right. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know? So again, edit that answer because it was too long.
And last question. What advice can you give to those inspired or aspiring journalists that want to follow in your footsteps, maybe do like sports editing or, you know, one of the broadcasters? What do you suggest?
I'd say
stepping stones?
You cannot do the work you want to do without doing the work that's going to get you there. And by that, everybody wants to skip some steps, or hey, I look good and I'm cute and I talk well, but why should I learn how to edit, or whatever, or hey, I'm a great editor, but you know what, I really only want to work from like 8 to 12 every day. You know, these kind of things where, you know, look, it's work. I also think that you have to be really competitive in this business. And that doesn't mean mean. That doesn't mean that you're going to elbow your friend out of the way so you can get the bigger piece of pie. But it means when you get to a workplace, there's lots of people there before you, and there's people going to come after you. You have to decide you're going to be the best at what you're doing. And that what you're doing is like, I'm here now, but I'm only going to be here for a little while because I'm making moves to move to the next thing. If you kind of look at it that way, it seems like, you know, your boss says, what do you mean you want to do the next job? I want you to do this job. But if you're looking at the next job, that means you're going to perform in this job to get yourself there. There's a phrase that they used to tell people, you know, about how do you dress at work, and it's like, hey, always dress for your next job. You know, hey, if you're a manager, dress like a director. If you're a director, dress like a VP. If you're a VP, dress like a CEO. Who knows what that means about clothes, but that certainly works with your mindset. If you're a director, think like a VP and how you're going to get there. If you're a coordinator, how am I going to manage stuff? I don't like the way things run here. Well, when you're a manager, you can change them. But you can't change it by complaining. You got to change them by working hard to get to the next level. And they're like, good, here's what I said I would do in this role, and now I'm going to do it. So the message there is, you can talk all you want about what you're going to be, but until you do it and do the work to get there, it's just talk. So it's about walking the walk, not talking the talk. You've heard that corny phrase before, but guess what? It's actually the truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thanks for coming down. You guys were great guests, and I'm glad that people interacted with you well here. You know, they see eager students, and they know people who are serious about it, and I think they saw that in you guys. So I think you guys got what you gave. You know, so good job.
Okay, and please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.